good afternoon, good morning, good evening to whoever's joining. There's already like 185 of you here right now, which is absolutely crazy. Seeing some hearts, some party emojis. I love that. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I feel like from most of the things that I share with you guys, whether it's on LinkedIn or TikTok, you guys know I'm a little bit more informal. So hopefully can give you guys some really realistic tips and tricks on how to be confident in sales today. What works for me, what doesn't work for me. But then again, what works for me might not work for you, vice versa. If you guys, after this call, feel as though I didn't touch on a few things that might also work for you that could help me, would love to hear your feedback. I love learning new things, new tips and tricks, but just how to be confident in sales as a woman, which is why we're pretty much all here today. Although, sure, we definitely have a lot of men in the room too, out of the 230 people that are now here. But first and foremost, before I get started, guys, I want to just thank Women in Sales for having me here today on their platform. So, Women in Sales is the leading professional community for women in the field of sales, and they really focus on elevating, empowering, and promoting women within the sales profession first and foremost. So, of course, you guys know that's something that I'm a huge believer in. And I love kind of just being in this community and creating a community with you guys where we can all share our experience and being in sales together, highs and lows. We know that there's plenty of them. But pretty much for an agenda, guys, how this call is going to work. So the title of this masterclass today is Cold Calling, How to Be Confident in Sales. I'm also going to be sharing with you guys a little bit of social selling and what works for me. Been doing a lot of master classes lately, strictly on cold calling. That will be the main focus today, but definitely want to slip in a few things that will work for you as well if you need to change it up. After we kind of go through a few of those things, I'll kind of go through a little bit of an introduction to myself before we get into all of that. A lot of you probably already know, but I'll go into a little bit of an introduction, where I came from, how I kickstarted my career in sales. And then once we go through everything at the end, you guys will have plenty of time to ask some really good questions, which I'm really excited to ask because I feel like you guys just always have good questions for me. Sometimes I haven't even thought about the things that you ask, so it gets my brain going as well. Also, I blurred my background, but as you can see, I'm in my New York City apartment, and you guys are currently on a 3-foot box that I got in the mail of clothes that I bought yesterday. So although this looks like I got it all going on, I'm just a normal girl, corporate 9 to 5 in sales in New York City. So I would love to say I have a whole professional setup. I don't, but we're here. We're doing it. We're doing it. So you don't have to be professional to be good at something. But anyways, so without further ado, we have 300 people in the session, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we are going to get started, which is really exciting. So how to be confident in sales is where we're starting. So a little bit about me, guys. So I am from Long Island, New York. If there's anyone from Long Island here, I want to see it in the emojis popping up. And just moved to New York City. Shouldn't say just moved. I moved to New York City about 3 years ago. Went to school in Long Island, elementary school, high school, and then I ended up furthering my athletic and academic career at Fairfield University in Connecticut, for those of you familiar with the Northeast. And I absolutely loved my time there. However, I went in as an undecided major, which I think is really important to say on this call. You don't need to major in business. You don't need to major in sales specifically. You don't need to major in marketing. There's nothing specific that you need to major in or focus on in college to get yourself into a sales role. So what's really, really intriguing to me and what I've seen over the last 6 years of me being in sales is some of our best reps that we've hired at Pareto, for example, have been nurses, teachers. They've come from other business backgrounds, but maybe they weren't specifically in sales. Some of them are bartenders. They're really good at building rapport over the bar and really good under pressure and really good with difficult situations when things gets a little messy. So it does not matter. Like, if you are sitting on this call here today thinking, I can't get into sales. I don't have any experience. That is honestly what most clients look for in somebody, is just somebody who's willing to learn, develop, and is someone is going to be able to mold into that perfect employee for that client. So just remember, if you're sitting on the call here today, hoping and wishing you could get a sales role, you absolutely can. It does not matter what background you come from, and you do not have to have experience. So keep that in mind and go apply to some sales roles today. So that's a little bit about me, but let me kind of go on here. So just a few things about myself. I started at a company called Pareto, which a lot of you are probably familiar with, about 5 years ago. I was kind of a weird one. I knew I wanted to go into sales. However, I've been here for 5 years. I feel like very blessed to be here as well. Just considering, I think the average is like 6 months that a recent graduate stays at their first role before going to the next role. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. I just feel like I got really blessed with a place where honestly the people is the highlight of my day. As you guys could see here today, I am working from home. I'm actually going to London tonight to see Taylor Swift on Saturday, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to be heading out right after this, but I'm pretty much in the office every single day. So, and that's really what keeps me at Pareto. It's just the fact that I could wake up every morning and I'm genuinely excited to go to work. I'm genuinely excited to work with the people that are in my office and also be friends with them outside of the office. And I think that's also something that you should probably ask yourself. There are so many amazing companies out there where a sales culture is like the heart and like the heartbeat of their business because it's just so fun. It's a really work hard mentality, and that's what I really like as well. Although I know we have so much fun in the office, I know that these people are also the ones that are going to work, their butt off for me, and I'm going to work their butt off for them as well. So if you're in an environment that doesn't sound like that, just know that there are environments out there like that. And, it's always obviously a lot easier to sell something that you really believe in, but also sell something in an environment that you feel really great in as well. So test yourself on that question. Just think to yourself, because am I performing badly because I'm in a bad environment, or am I performing really great because I'm in a really good environment? So you want to get yourself into those good environments, and they are out there, I can assure you. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. And I feel like saying that is really contradictory because everything in sales is uncomfortable, especially when you first start. And don't get me wrong, like I said in the beginning of this call, I am no professional. There's still things that make me really anxious, going into the office and having to cold call. I still get that, feeling in my stomach of, oh, I don't want to do this today. And I've done this for 5.5 years and I still get that feeling. So, if you're thinking to yourself, I can't wait to like not feel like that. If I'm being realistic with you guys, you're always going to have that, but like that's good because that means that you're putting pressure on yourself. You want to do really well, you want to succeed in your role, and you absolutely will. And it does get easier, don't get me wrong, but I'm here to tell you, I still feel the nerves, I still get butterflies, and that's okay. So let's kind of move on here and kick things off. So there's a little bit of a Q&A here, and the key is at the top right of your screen. One, not confident, and then five, you're feeling most confident. So feel free to put a number 1 through 5 when I ask you these questions in the chat. We'll see what comes up here. But the first question we have is, how confident are you in your ability to build rapport and establish a connection with potential customers on a cold call? 1, you're not feeling so confident. 5, you're feeling really confident. Seeing a lot of 3s, 2s in the chat. We got some 4s, 3s. Okay. I feel like we're at a really good start here. We're at a really, really good start. I would honestly say I feel pretty confident. I'm probably saying I'm at like the 4 stage. I think, it's most important in sales to come across really confident and also build rapport with your customer base, just because building rapport is really, honestly, one of the most important parts of any meeting in sales. just because people buy from people and you want to get customers that truly trust you and like really know who you are as a person and they truly feel comfortable in coming to you with their concerns, their needs, their feedback. So that's really most important. Going on to the second question here. How confident are you in your ability to handle objections and overcome customer concerns on a cold call? Let's see what we get here. Okay, a little bit lower. We see twos and threes. I see a few ones, and that is completely okay. I would honestly say I'm at like the three as well. Twos, threes, I'm getting a lot of lower numbers here. So I think as humans, especially women, we're really good at like, chatting it up. We love to chat it up. We love to spill the tea with our friends, whether it's our moms, our friends, other coworkers, guys too. Come on, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We like to stir the pot a little bit. We like to drop the tea. So we're really good at building rapport. Yappers for the win, 100%, Alexine. So when it comes to actually now handling objections on a cold call, like that's a whole different story. So if you're not feeling as confident, hopefully after this presentation, you'll be able to pick up a few tips and tricks that might make you a little bit more confident. But I definitely share a lot of tips and tricks as well that hopefully help. For example, one of them is actually standing up, which is something I'm doing right now and something I always preach when cold calling. I'll get into this later on, my top 10 tips on cold calling and how to be really successful. But one of my top tips is just when you're cold calling, being in that power stance with your headphones on and kind of being able to pace a little bit. I'm probably all over your screen right now. You just automatically feel more confident. You're able to use hand gestures. You're walking around. You're feeling really good about yourself. So when someone does throw an objection at you, instead of kind of hiding in your seat, hunched over, thinking, oh my God, I don't know where to go from here. I feel so sick. Standing up, being in that power stance, and really just honestly being able to use yourself as that confident, statue, if you will, definitely goes a long way. So that leads to the next one. How confident are you in your ability to adapt and adjust your sales approach based on different customer personalities and preferences on a call? This one's interesting. Oh, we got a lot of threes, fours, and fives here. I'm impressed. This is honestly, I mean, I'm not afraid to tell you guys my struggles. This is probably the one thing I struggle the most with. And it's probably because on a cold call, you guys see I'm pretty bubbly. I'm pretty annoying to some people. That's okay. A lot of people love it, but a lot of people don't. And someone just put in here mirror match. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about because for me, I tend to lose people on cold calls or even an in person meeting or virtual meeting when they're very direct, assertive, to the point, and I'm like, all right, what do you got next? Tell me about this. I'm clearly not matching their personality style. So if you haven't thought about this before, don't worry. I would say it's probably a little bit of an advanced skill that you need to adapt over time within sales, but know your audience exactly. Know your audience, know who you're speaking to. Just know that somebody's not going to want to buy from someone who's not clearly matching their energy and clearly isn't on the same page. So make sure you are mirror matching, knowing your audience, and make sure that you're kind of thinking of that consciously while you're speaking to someone, whether it's over the phone, whether you're running a demo, whether you're running a meeting with somebody in person or virtual. Mirror matching is so important. But honestly, sounds like a lot of you guys are really confident in that, which is awesome. Something I need to work on, to be quite honest with you. So moving on here, a little bit of my success and what I've done here at my sales role. So 2021, I won salesperson of the year, only being with the company for 3 years. It was insane. I shared that award actually with one of my mentors who's been with the company for almost 25 years. Her name is Sara Skelton. Shout out to her if she's on this call, but she is unbelievable. An amazing sales mentor, so good at what she does. And I think it's really important to ask yourself, like, do you have a mentor in your organization, or is there someone that you can go to in terms of, if I need help, like I can ask this person just candidly, like, this is what I'm going through. Like, how can you help me? It's so important to have a mentor in the organization because they know exactly what you're going through. And it's also just someone, you can trust that you can maybe vent to, lay off some steam, let some steam out and just kind of have that person that can help project you in the right path when you're growing within an organization. Second, salesperson of the year runner up in 2022. I lost that award to Sarah, who we call Skelly. So bittersweet, but she was so well deserved and was really still honored to be top of that ladder with her in the entire organization. And then this year, I actually won USA Player of the Year. And also, we were acquired by Randstad in 2022. So some of you might have heard that name before, but they're now our parent company. And I actually won their Innovation Award in the entire organization, which was pretty nuts. So have some success there. We'll see what happens this year. Fingers crossed, but that's just a little bit about me and my sales career thus far. So moving on, a successful mindset. These are three things that I truly believe help me in making sure that I can be successful in my role. So some of these things might not work for you. Some of them might. Please DM me what does work for you, whether it's on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. I love hearing how other people get through the highs and lows. So as we all know here on this call, there are a lot of highs and lows in sales. Like I compare it to a roller coaster. And when you're in that low, it can be extremely hard to get out of it. Everyone is selling deals around you. Everyone's closing maybe some of the biggest deals they've ever closed, you know, and you're just there in your little shell thinking, how the hell am I going to get someone on the call? How do I book my next meeting? It's so difficult. And the only way to really learn from, those failures in sales is to actually go through them, and you will go through them. If you haven't yet, I can assure you that you will. I was the ignorant sales rep that started off so strong. And within month 6, I was like the worst rep at the company, like the worst. And I was just like, is this really for me? Is this something I can get out of? Where do I even begin? And for me, it was kind of just going back to the basics, although I kind of thought I was too experienced for going back to the basics. However, more often I realized that it was more of my ego. Like, okay, let me put my ego to the side. I'm actually not as good as I thought. Hold on a second. I've only been here for 6 months. How can I actually just go up to other people and say, what's working for you on cold calls? Like, how are you booking meetings? If something's working for somebody else, like adopt that, see if it works for you. We're all guilty of this. I'm seeing this in the chat. Like, I'm probably sounding like some of you guys right now. We've all been there. Like, we've all been there. So here are some things that I really focus on is one, having a growth mindset. So having this mindset really kind of lets you take a step back and says, like, write down your goals. The second I started Pareto, I manifested being a sales director. I wrote it down in my planner, like the goal this year. I want to get to the point where I can be a sales director in 5 years. Like that was my biggest goal. Not a lot of people reach that at Pareto in 5 years, but I was like, I'm going to make this my goal. It needs to happen. This is something I'm really motivated by. I really, really manifested it. And because I had that growth mindset, I was able to kind of take the small inches and just remember that, even a small win counts. Even the smallest deal that you close, it still brings you in the right direction to hit those goals. So always have that growth mindset. I know a lot of people, a girl recently shared with me on LinkedIn that she actually writes post-it notes of things that she wants to achieve that day, that week, that month, that year. And that's 100% something that stuck with me last week, thinking, oh my God, I really love this idea. This is definitely something I want to do, because at the end of the year, you can actually check off everything that you accomplish. And it's really great to see everything that has led to your success. Maintaining a positive attitude is, as a New Yorker, I'm going to say, I do not always have a positive attitude, especially in the subway when it's like 120 degrees. I'm on my way to work knowing I have to cold call. Like, let's just be real with ourselves. Like, I mean, how the hell do you have a positive attitude in that very moment? I don't know. So it's really important to just say, let me get through this moment. I know it's not going to last long. Coffee 100% helps, let me tell you. It definitely helps me. But as a New Yorker, I struggle with this one. So I just need to take a step back, take a breath, and remember that those small moments aren't going to ruin the rest of my day. Sometimes they do, but you got to get over it. Now, my favorite part of this pillar is self care. I know this sounds like so basic, but there is nothing better than starting my day. This is specifically for me, by the way. You might be like, oh my God, I hate everything that Sarah just said. So please share with me what works for you. But for me, recently I've actually been on a bit of a gym block. I am like a gym rat. I was a college Division 1 athlete. I played soccer at Fairfield University. So having that mindset of like, you know what, let me kind of bring out all my stress at the gym or going for a walk really, really helps me. And I've been, if I'm being really honest with you guys, a bit of a blocker. I got married in July, which was the best day of my life. I went to Italy with my husband for 2 full weeks, and coming back to the office was probably the most painful thing I've ever experienced. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have gone through that as well. Where you're coming back from like the best trip of your life. You're just coming back from a mental health day and you're like, how am I going to reset? How am I going to get this, right? And how am I going to get back in the positive attitude to make my job really successful? It's really difficult. And like I said, I am going through a bit of a blocker right now. I haven't consistently been to the I think we might be back. I think we're connected. Hello? I just went for a quick coffee break. Sorry, guys. All right, we're rocking and rolling. We're rocking and rolling. Sorry about that. You never know when there's just going to be construction right outside your apartment in New York City, but we're back. Oh, are we back? Is it working for you? I don't know what to do. All right, guys, might be back in action. We're back. Let's go. Okay, guys, so sorry. There's nothing like getting a you have a spectrum outage that might be affecting your area text at right in the middle of the masterclass, but we're gonna make it work. No panic. There's still 353 of you here, so very grateful. Spectrum, don't give up on me now. Let's jump right back into it because that's just what we do. We just make it work. But where we were at, guys, is kind of that self-care mind piece. And ultimately, what I was saying, bit of a blocker right now, and I've been struggling to kind of, get myself to a place where I'm at the gym, I'm going on walks and this and that. So I've basically just decided 1 mile a day, I'm gonna walk and see if I could get myself out there until I'm leading back up to kind of hitting those major goals at the gym, which is exactly what you could compare to sales. Just control the controllable, and wherever your mindset is, kind of listen to it a little bit, like give yourself some grace and just, any little small win. Exactly. Slow and steady wins the race. All right, let's move on. So, continued growth. We kind of went through this a little bit, realistic goals, improving your skills, and building resilience. And I'm going to go back to the improving your skills a little bit piece just because I think this also goes back to putting your ego aside and realizing you may not be the best salesperson in the entire world. I don't know who is. However, continually improving your skills by asking others what works for them. I feel like we touched on this a little bit, but just kind of having that mentality of, exactly, you're not alone in this. Like there's other people that are probably struggling as well. I bet you if you went to a coworker and said, "Hey, what's really working for you?" I 9 times out of 10, I bet you they say, "I'm actually really struggling too." Like, how can we put our minds together to come up with some creative ways to prospect? So, if the phone isn't working for me right now, like what else can we do to make our jobs a success? So, kind of moving on from here, guys, how are you booking meetings? I love this slide. Reason being is obviously cold calling. It is one of the hardest parts about sales. However, I will tell you, it is the quickest way to book a meeting. I know all of you probably sometimes send a prospect an email, a creative outreach email tailored to their business, tailored to them as a person, show that you did some work and research to kind of put that email together. However, how many of you never hear back from a really great email that you sent? Like, it's devastating, heartbreaking, if you will. It's really hard to just sink into yourself knowing that you just spent 30 minutes on a really awesome email and then you just never hear back. It's really difficult. So you're going to have to pivot. So these are some ways that really work for me. So the first is obviously cold calling. The second is email outreach. But if those two aren't working for you, weeks on or days on, how can I get creative with maybe social media? Are there any networking events in my area right now? I mean, you guys are all on a networking event right now. My biggest tip to you is there if there's anyone that resonates with you in the comments, connect with them on LinkedIn. See what role they're in. See what they're doing. What's working for them. So honestly, seriously, and I'm dying right now. The Sabrina Carpenter quote: "Heartbreak is one thing, my ego is another." Honestly, someone pinned that on every single sales floor. But these are all ways that, yeah. Oh, there you go. You actually pinned it. I'm dead. That's so funny. And just kind of find new things, innovate. I think that's one of the things that I learned with TikTok is, during a really slow market a year and a half ago, how can I get myself out to literally everyone that's willing to hear something about sales quick? And I was like, let me make a TikTok about it. And it ended up going viral, reached so many people, and that's how that this community is here today. You just never know what can happen. So my tip to you is just try new things. If it fails, literally, so what? Like, who cares? If there's people judging you, they're obviously just jealous that they haven't tried it first or that they're not as successful as you right now. So just kind of remember that. and don't worry about it. But I love how everyone's dropping their LinkedIn profile links in the chat right now. Absolutely connect with as many people as you can on LinkedIn. Ask them what works for them. That's like the best thing that you could do, especially if you're at this networking event or if you go to another networking event. I always walk around with my like LinkedIn barcode on my phone so that people can literally just scan it and add me on LinkedIn. And that's how I create an entire prospecting and lead list the next day. And it's great because then the next day when I do reach out to them and I do cold call them, I can say, hey Josh, it's Sara over at Pareto. I actually met you at the Women in Sales networking event yesterday. How are you? How's your morning going? Immediately Josh is going to speak to me because we resonated with each other at the networking event. So it's an amazing way to come with a community, get together. I already love this. Like literally every single person is picking their LinkedIn in, which I literally love. So moving on to our next slide here. I'm really hoping this plays for you guys. Oh my God. This is a video. If it doesn't play for whatever reason, just because I know we've been having some technical difficulties today. However, this is a video of during COVID when we were completely work from home. I work for a company where I actually try to sell salespeople to other salespeople to join their team. So, in a world where people were letting their sales teams go, I had to try to sell them more people, which was awful. It was awful. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Like, how do you sell someone to hire someone when they just let their entire team go? People were not happy with me. So I was like, you know what? If I start sending LinkedIn videos to people, and don't get me wrong, this wasn't my original idea. I've seen other people do it in the past. I know Josh Braun is a great person to connect with, and he sends a lot of videos and he posts a lot of videos too. I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of send my prospect this video, see if it resonates with him. It's a different type of outreach. He probably hates getting cold calls. Actually, in fact, I knew he hated getting cold calls because he screamed at me multiple times to take me off his list. However, after I sent this video, I actually booked the meeting with him. So let's see if it plays. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Let me know in the chat. Hey, Paul, it's Sara from Pareto. I hope you don't mind the unique reach out by LinkedIn video. The reason I was... As you guys can see here, I'm like a brand new SDR. It's COVID. I'm trying my best to stand out. I was pretty much one of the only SDRs left at Pareto at the time because we unfortunately went through a lot of layoffs as well. But here I am trying to get the best lighting, standing on a chair in my living room, and I fall off the chair. Also, just to give you guys a really good pointer, the send button on the LinkedIn app, by the way, you can only record these videos on the LinkedIn app on your phone. The send button and the back button look very similar. So I did send this. However, I ended up posting this on LinkedIn, and this was probably one of the first videos I've ever posted. And I was like, you know what? Like, life is hard right now for so many people. Like, maybe this could just bring a smile to someone's face. My following, which was probably 200 people at the time, ended up DMing me saying, is it okay if I actually, like, you tell me who this is and I could comment him, at him in the comments. I had like 20, 25 comments, which wasn't a lot at the time, adding this prospect saying, please meet with Sara. Like, she's clearly putting it out there in a really difficult time. And he literally commented, Sara, what is your number so I could text you to set some time up? And funny fact, I went on that meeting, sold the deal, and they're now a client to this day. So I think someone mentioned it in the chat earlier in this call. You will not find perfection in this role. And it's not meant to be perfect. So don't hold yourself to like this crazy standard of I need to be perfect. Like my cold call needs to be perfect. I need to sound amazing on a call, because you don't. It's all about humanizing the sales process and just being yourself. And you will gain confidence this way because you will realize that there's really not much that can tear you down after something like this. So hopefully this gave you guys a little bit of a laugh, and also just being your authentic self. Putting a smile on someone's face is going to be really, really important. And like I will repeat on and on and on in this call, is people buy from people. And that's something that this guy really liked about me. We met, I was able to bring him really great value and be able to sell a solution. I fell off the chair for you, quite literally. But sell a solution that helps his business so much so that he's now a client 5 years later. So really, really grateful for falling off a chair. I don't think I would have ever said that before. But anyways, we move. So here are some other videos that I've sent. Clearly, this was during COVID. I mean, the middle one is actually what I want to focus on, even though you can kind of read some of the responses from prospects. They love creative outreach, like truly, truly love. People are like so excited about it. And even the second one, for example, I sent a video to the head of business development, and he responded and said, "Hi, Sarah, please send this video to this guy at this company. He would really appreciate it." And that ended up being the CEO of the organization, and they are also a client now as well. Also, by the way, all of these have approved to share this information. So, in case anyone asks. The middle one, I would like to point out, if anyone noticed, I'm a sweaty mess. I came right off the soccer field. Soccer was obviously and still is a huge part of my life, but here's a term that I want to bring to your attention that we always say at Pareto, and it's been so impactful for me. So the term is strike when the iron's hot. And this also ties into not having to be perfect. I came back from soccer practice like during COVID. That was the one thing that was really keeping like my sanity straight. And I saw that a prospect that I was prospecting for months and months and months finally connected back with me on LinkedIn. I was cold calling this guy, emailing this guy. I think I sent him a handwritten letter to his office. Like I quite literally did everything. So when I saw the notification that he had connected with me back, I was literally on my way back from soccer practice, and I couldn't wait the next day. I think it was 7 o'clock at night. I couldn't wait the next day to send him a video because I was just that excited. Nerd, sales nerd of me right here. I sent him a video of me sweaty in my soccer uniform, and I remember saying to him, like, hey, Avi, like, I literally came straight off the soccer field, but I was so excited when I saw that you connected with me. I just had to send you this video right away. He says, love the video. And then immediately, please send me another email, gave me his contact information, said, we'll find a time. They're also now a client to this day as well. So these videos are all on LinkedIn DM. You have to take the videos on your phone. You could take it right in the DM. So like right where you go into DM someone in messaging, and you click like send video or send photo. You could say open camera, and you can quite just take the video right then and there and send it. You have to be connected with them. That's the thing. You do have to be connected with them. So that's the hardest part, and that's why I was so excited when he connected with me back. So strike when the iron's hot just also kind of leads back to perfection because, like I mentioned, people buy from people. And the fact that I said to him, I'm like, I just got right off the soccer field and saw you were connected with me on LinkedIn. I got so excited I had to send you this. Like he even said to me on the meeting, I was actually so happy you said that because I'm a huge soccer fan. Like, who do you support? Who's your team that you follow throughout the year? So immediate rapport building. It just made the whole entire process like very normal, very casual. We were easy and able to relate to each other. So he actually loved that. So sending LinkedIn videos, just being yourself, striking when the iron's hot is key. I always like to say too, if you guys are going through your cadence and you're cold calling a bunch of prospects and you see that little green dot, which means they're currently logged into LinkedIn, call them immediately. Like don't wait for your call block. More often than not, if you can see that they're logged into LinkedIn, they're probably sitting at their desk just scrolling the feed, which means they might have some time to actually chat, connect on a cold call. Even call them out, like be a little cheeky with it. Like, hey, Josh, so you're currently scrolling LinkedIn right now. I figured you had a second to chat. Is that true? They really appreciate that. Really good sales leaders at the end of the day, or whoever you're selling to, they most likely have a team of sellers that are doing exactly what you do. And some of them have even said to me in the past, wow, I wish my sales team was stalking LinkedIn right now, seeing which prospects are logged in. I really actually appreciate that. What do you have to say today? So it's really cool to kind of see like when really good sales leaders actually appreciate your reach out. So I post a lot of my videos, which I know Alexine's putting in the chat, on TikTok. A lot of tips and tricks, a lot of New York City lifestyle stuff. I won't say I put some just like, lifestyle stuff in there as well, if you want to follow along. But here's actually a list of people that you can also connect with. Will Aitken is the one, it's kind of cut off here, that is the number one listed, has been through and through on social media with me since the beginning of COVID. He's really good at what he does. He shares a lot of tips and tricks, specifically sales as well. But these are a ton of people that you can follow that also give some really good insight into the industry. Um, and these are some things that we kind of spoke about as well. So power stances, collaboration, sharing ideas. These are also some of the tips and my type of advice that I would give that I also kind of, let's see, give during this presentation. Just being confident, fake it till you make it. I actually want to pause there for a second and I'll say this on the next slide. But if you mess up on a cold call and you sound like the most confident seller ever, it doesn't matter what you're actually saying. I think there's a crazy statistic that says only about 7% of what you're actually saying is resonating with the prospect on the other end of the phone. The other 93% is the tone and how you're actually presenting that information. So if you're coming across as someone that sounds extremely confident, or if you stumble over your words for 2 seconds and then you laugh about it and say, "Oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry. It's just one of those days. What I was actually saying is," they will listen to you. It doesn't matter what you're saying. If you get the context, if you get the content wrong, if you say the wrong thing, keep going, push through that call. It's all about how you sound. So building confidence is definitely key. Some of the other advice that's on here is don't be afraid to put yourself out there, which is something that we touched on. Having a really great LinkedIn presence is definitely key. If there's anyone on here today that doesn't have a LinkedIn, I highly suggest you make one, just because, for example, everyone is putting their LinkedIn in the chat right now. And it's such a great community to be part of, and you can learn so many things. It's such a great educational platform. Connect with leaders in roles that you're aspiring to be in one day. So I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the call, but I used to connect with so many sales directors at my company, but also other companies. And I actually use that as a hook to meet with a lot of sales leaders as well. So I would reach out to a sales director and say, "Hey, Josh," I don't know why I'm using the word Josh today. Probably because one of my favorite people, Josh Edwards, works for Burrito. So we'll use him as an example. You know, "Hey, Josh, I saw you're a sales director. I'm looking to connect with directors like you. I'm actually aspiring to be in this role one day. I would love to pick your brain. Also saw you might be hiring for your team. So maybe there's a chance that we could partner together as well." And although that's not probably the strongest hook, it's definitely a really good way in. Never be afraid to ask for referrals. Oh my God, guys, I wish I harped on this more. There's just not enough time in one webinar to give you every single tip and trick. However, referrals is key. So what I like to tell my team is if you don't book the meeting on a cold call, the next best thing you can do is ask for referrals. If you've gotten a minute, 2 minutes into the call, clearly they don't have anywhere to be. Just get yourself to ask one more question, which is, listen, Josh, if this isn't relevant for you today, out of curiosity, is there anyone in your market that you recommend might be interested in what I've had to tell you today that you could potentially introduce me to? There is no better way into a new company or a new prospect than having somebody who knows them really well introduce you. Whether that's an email introduction or a group chat on LinkedIn, which work perfectly these days, there's no better way in. I would say 80% of my introductions from somebody I asked a referral for turn into a meeting. And since December, I've closed 200, actually more than that, just over $300,000 now in referrals. And all that was me saying to someone, "Hey, is there anyone in your market that you know might be interested in exactly what we're speaking about?" Yes, actually, this person, she's one of my best friends. She is the VP of business development over at X company, and she's looking to hire an entire sales team. We had dinner last night. We were chatting about it. Let me introduce you guys. Boom, easy way in, client, close deal. Those are the quickest wins. And you could ask those all on cold calls, which is very easy to do. But I say it's easy to do, but it's actually really hard because I'm sure there's a lot of us here, and I've been in the situation where you're just so timid to ask one more question. You feel like the burden, you feel like you've kept them on the phone for too long. You say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to ask. I'll ask on the next call. Ask every single time. I promise you it will pay off. Believe in yourself, ride the wave. There's definitely highs and lows. You will be in that low at some point. You got to drag yourself out. Make time for your personal life. Make sure that there's stuff that you really look forward to at the end of the day, especially if you are in those lows in sales. I think it's really important to kind of have that outlet to say, you know what, a few more calls and I get to have dinner with my best friends tonight. A few more calls, I get to go see the new Colleen Hoover movie, and I'm going to be, not even thinking about work right now. That's going to be me next Wednesday. I already bought my movie ticket. But just make time for your personal life, prioritize yourself, and having a really solid routine definitely helps with getting through those as well. Now, I think we're almost at the last slide here. But what I want to wrap up with is it's okay to fail, guys. Like I mentioned, you don't have to be perfect in this role. It's so difficult, and you have to give yourself some grace. So don't worry about messing up. It's quite all right. You will get through it. Tone over context, something that we just spoke about, kind of beat this to the slide. Standing up, cold call with people. Like I'm telling you, even if you guys are in virtual environments, what I used to do when we were fully remote within COVID was actually get on a Zoom call with 3 other SDRs in my organization, and we would actually all cold call together. And if someone got connected to somebody, to a prospect, we would unmute ourselves so that everyone can listen to the conversation. So you don't have to be in an office to be able to do this. You can do it virtually over Zoom. It's really great because you don't feel like you're alone. And make it fun. If anyone messes up, we always laugh about it. Like it's not a big deal. Like we honestly like give each other some good chat about it. It's all fun and games at the end of the day. Don't take it too seriously. Is all I can say. We have 4 more here, 5 more here. Don't be too hard on yourself. Try creative openers. You guys know my favorite opener. Does anyone know what it is? If you know what it is, put it in the chat. How do I typically open my cold calls? Yep, you're gonna hate me. This is a Thursday morning cold call, but you just have 27 seconds to chat. All the time. They're like, Sarah, I don't hate you. That was actually quite funny. I'll give you a minute. You won't have everyone love that opener. Of course, it's going back to what we spoke about of like definitely mirror who you're speaking with, but it's a really fun way. And it's just, again, humanizing the entire cold calling experience. Ask for referrals. And then my other favorite tip, make 9 calls before 9 a.m. You will get CEOs on a Starbucks line, a Dunkin' Donuts line, a Pret line, ordering their coffee. So sorry, Dave. Caught you on the coffee line. I hear you ordering your coffee. What's your order today? They'll laugh. All right, what do you got for me, Sarah? I'm not in the office yet. You caught me at a good time. Again, make those 5 calls after 5 o'clock. If you're having a really bad day, I can assure you, you probably just raised your probability of booking a meeting after 5 p.m. Just because you're catching leaders leaving the office and they do have a time to chat. Love that as well. Pre-scheduling emails is a great idea too. Just catching people at a time that they wouldn't normally be in the office. Honestly, people feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them outside of the office, but that's when you'll catch people at really good times, and a lot of people don't mind it. But cold calling at those times, I feel like really helps, and there's nothing better than having a really bad day and then cold calling just 5 calls at the end of the day and booking one. Boom, you just made up your entire day. So that's a really great way to also just kind of end the day on a high. Guys, that is it from me. What I really want to do now is answer some of your questions for the remaining 8 minutes that we do have. So we're going to pin some up on the screen, and hopefully I can answer some. So drop those questions in the chat. So the first question here is, how cold are the prospects you're calling? Are they part of a sequence of outreach? They've shown interest in Pareto. I can't even say my company's name. Or is this literally the first touch when you call them? They are cold as ice. 99% of my prospects are cold as ice. So I typically start my cadence with a LinkedIn connection. I'll call them right away if it's a really hot lead because timing is everything. And I've had prospects that have told me, oh, I wish you gave me a call 3 months ago. Like, I really could have used this. So, again, strike when the iron's hot. If you see a really good lead, don't shove it in your cadence that you're not going to start for another 2 days. Like, just give them a ring. Go ahead and give them a call. Strike when the iron's hot. And if they do connect me with me right away on LinkedIn, I immediately introduce myself over video for that social selling piece. So they are really cold. Something I would recommend about that is don't spend more than 3 to 5 minutes doing research on a prospect. If you find yourself doing research for like 20 to 30 minutes on a prospect you're about to call, you're wasting your time. Don't, like, your time is valuable. Just remember that. As a sales rep, you have a lot of people to call. So just grab a few pieces of information. Typically, everything that you need is on their LinkedIn profile to be able to resonate something, have them resonate with you on something. So don't spend more than 3 to 5 minutes researching a prospect. What other questions do we have? Let's see. Do you recommend leaving voicemails? 1000% yes. I actually get this question all the time, and it's probably a TikTok video that I need to post because you guys are always asking me on that platform. I just don't record them because I find that they're pretty boring, but maybe I will start recording them. The most important thing about knowing what a voicemail impacts is that it's targeted towards building familiarity. I can almost assure you, you will never have a prospect call you back after you leave a voicemail. There's no need for them to do that. They probably know you're going to contact them 5 or 6 more times. They're not going to call you back. However, the purpose of leaving a voicemail is to build familiarity with that prospect. Now, alongside of this, what you want to say in a voicemail is exactly what you would have said on the phone. So I'll give you guys an example. You know, hey, Alexine, this is Sara over at Pareto. I actually was giving you a cold call, if I'm being completely honest, regarding your sales, hiring, and training needs. No need to give me a call back. However, I'm going to send you over a LinkedIn message and also an email titled Sales Training and Hiring. Feel free to get back to me on those platforms. That way you don't have to give me a call back. Thanks and have a good day. Now, there's a call to action there. So they're like, okay, great. I don't have to call them back. Like, I don't want to call Sara back. However, you want to keep your messaging the same across all platforms. So, on LinkedIn, I'll also tell them this is about sales training and hiring. When I give them a cold call, if they answer, I'm going to say this is about sales training and hiring. If I email them, it's going to be about their sales training and hiring. And if I leave them a voicemail, it's going to be about sales training and hiring. That way, every time they start to see my name pop up on all different platforms, they know exactly why I'm reaching out for sales training and hiring and seeing if we can help them with that. If you do different messages on different platforms, they're not going to put two and two together that Sara Plowman is looking to connect with me about this topic. So you don't have to know what to say about on different platforms. You want to keep your messaging the same across all platforms so that it starts to build familiarity. So voicemails are specifically for that reason. Any other questions? How do you get through high priority prospects that are ghosting you? Calls, emails, LinkedIn, etc. This is really difficult, and I think this is where creative outreach will really put you above your competitors. And when I mean competitors, I mean other people that are also prospecting that organization or that person. So I think for me, sending LinkedIn videos is awesome. It will 100% stick you out of the crowd. That prospect is probably getting 30 to 40 cold calls a day. You're not sticking out by also cold calling them unless you have a killer pitch, which I hope you guys do. However, if you have someone that's high priority, that's on your list that you can't get in touch with, send them a LinkedIn video. That's the best next thing. I bet you they haven't received any LinkedIn videos that day. So you'll be the one person to stand out. So that would be my recommendation. Also, LinkedIn videos are really hard to send in the beginning when you don't normally see yourself on camera. So there's also a option to leave a voice note. I think we all know what voice notes are. I send my best friends 4 to 5 minute voice notes a day because I'm too lazy to text them. You can actually do that on LinkedIn as well. And I bet you they didn't receive that many voice notes a day as well. So I love voice notes if you don't feel confident sending some videos, but get yourself to that place, try something new. Your task today is to send one video on LinkedIn and let me know if you've done it. We have one more here before we wrap up, but how much do you research a prospect before cold calling, and how do you decide how much time to spend before dialing? I love this question. We kind of just touched on it. Do not spend more than 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes max on researching a prospect. There's no need. Your cold call to them is probably going to be about 30 seconds to a minute max. So why are you going to spend 20 minutes on information that you're not going to be saying in that short time that you have? I think get a really strong hook from their LinkedIn profile. Sometimes I even look at their Twitter, see what their interests are in, and I could actually refer to that as a hook. I also always look at if I have any mutual connections with them on LinkedIn, just because I can say, hey, Alexine, I see that you're connected with Josh Edwards over at Pareto. The reason I was reaching out is we actually helped Josh with X, Y, and Z, and I would love to see if we could potentially mirror the success with you at X company. So those are all pieces of information that I use in the hook that I find right on their LinkedIn profile, and that takes 2 minutes max. So just remember, your time is valuable as well. But I think we're just about at the end of this masterclass. Despite the technical difficulties, I think we bounced back great, guys. Everyone was still here when I got back. I really appreciate you waiting. Technology 2024, you got to deal with it. What can I say? I cannot thank you guys enough. Connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm so excited to hear what you guys thought of this webinar. If you guys want us to do more, I cannot thank Women in Sales enough. If you guys are not part of that community yet, reach out to me or Alexine, join the Slack group. I know the Slack was dropped in as a link. This is an amazing, amazing group of women that are empowering each other every single day to do really good in sales, and just developing and educating ourselves every day to just be badass women in the workforce, especially in sales in this profession. It's not easy. Cannot thank you guys enough, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.